One really alarming bit of data that I saw this week, mate, was with regards to the sales that are happening in the Australian property market, and 1 in 4 of those sales are investors selling. Now, that we know how hard investors are struggling to get their hand on stock. It's on your own at the moment as a property investor, buying in the hotspots around Australia. It's near impossible to buy on your own. We've got to work as a team and, try to create stock and figure out how we're going to crack that code. To see investors selling, I found that quite alarming, because I know that most investors, 9 out of 10 investors, buy at the wrong time and then sell at the wrong time. But I'd love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, well, it is alarming. You would hate to think that people don't quite get the full cycle out of their investment, and they're not duplicating, they're not strategizing, and potentially not speaking to the right people. Sure, there is a time to sell an investment property. If you're strategizing, about to go into retirement, whatever that, lots of layers to that.
Absolutely.
But that figure of just 32%, was it?
1 in 4, so 25%.
Yeah. So you tend to think that potentially people are about to get continued growth, and then they're selling too early.
Yeah, no, look, I think the most common mistake that I've seen countless investors make is buy at the wrong time, buy the wrong properties as well, but buy the wrong stock at the right time, the wrong time in the market, then realise they're holding on to a property that they can't sell and get back their, money invested. Once you take away the selling costs, the buying costs on the way in, the selling costs on the way out, they're stuck with a lemon, and they may have to sit holding that property for 5, 6, 7 years until it gets to a value where they can get back the money that they've invested. But typically, if you really look at what's happened, just because they purchased perhaps at the wrong stage in a market, when a property starts entering that growth phase, and all cycles, work as we've seen, or most cycles work when not a lot of growth happens through 2/3 or 3/4 of a cycle, and then all the growth happens within a few years, typically, right?
Yeah.
So
3 to 4 years.
So as we see these properties now entering a little bit of growth, and the investors that have been hanging on to properties that they've had pain attached to it, now selling those properties, raises the concern for me that they're passing over a property just at a time where they may be going to come into that 3-year period, 4-year period of substantial growth.
Yeah, that's right, mate. That's right. So any listeners that are, just make sure, if you are considering selling, it's worth just making sure you put your hand up, speak to someone, and just maybe get a second set of eyes over your portfolio and just completely understand, is now the right time.
Absolutely. Now, there's an opportunity cost of not selling, and I'm working with some investors where, as I look through their portfolio, there are properties within that portfolio that it may be the time to get rid of those properties. Depreciation's gone, the property's not looking like it's going to be a substantial, workhorse for them entering their retirement years or whatever it may be, and they're going to replace them with better, higher yielding, fresh, new depreciation schedules, etc.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense, right? But you've got to do it. You've got to really understand what you're doing. Otherwise, selling to get rid of a bit of pain. I've heard of people, and I won't mention names, but I've seen people that have held on to properties, and sold them, and then those properties have doubled in price within the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah. Oh, well, we've probably all got experiences with some of the things that we've sold over the years where we shouldn't have. But, you live and learn.
Yeah, I just think it's about, really be aware of what's going on in the market at the moment.
Yeah, that's what we're trying to tell people. Yeah.